and welcome to this meeting of the Conway City Council. It is December 2nd, if you believe that, 2024, 4 o'clock p.m. Welcome, and I officially open this meeting. We were going to be led with our prayer and Pledge of Allegiance by Reverend Robert Bannon, who's unable to be here, but if you join me, please. Dear God, we thank you for our lives, our health, all the benefits that you provided. We thank you for this season of celebrating the birth of the Christ child. Let us never forget for whom this season is all about. We ask that you be with us as we conduct the business of the city. Help us to be open-minded, to be selfless, and to hear the concerns of others. These things we ask in your Son's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. We need to approve the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Mr. White, sorry.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Ms. Butler?
I second his motion.
We have a properly seconded motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please indicate your favor with a showing of your hand. Thank you so much. Item 5 is public input. This is an opportunity for anybody to approach this council on just about any subject, the exception being that speaks to an individual employee. Of course, that would need to be taken up in a more private venue. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Public input is not interactive. We won't answer questions or go back and forth, but oftentimes the staff on the front row will hand you the business card if there's a department or if there's a specific person to whom you need to bring your concerns. The 5 minutes we've talked about, I think that's all I need to say. Is there anyone present who would like to speak under public input? There being no one, Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move that we close public input.
I second your motion.
Okay.
All in favor, please indicate with a showing of your hand. My motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is special presentations. The first of which is recognition of 2024 Artist of the City of Conway Christmas Card Contest. Item B will follow the presentation of Employee of the Month for December 2024, provided by Public Safety. And C is a presentation of Longevity Awards by our administrator. I'll come back and give us more after these 3 presentations. So what is interesting is that I don't know the names to invite forward for the Christmas Card Award. Yes, thank you so much. Would Miss Samantha Weiland and her family come forward, please? This very, very talented young woman thought that she might be able to provide something that is dear to all of us, and it turns out that we are elated over your artwork. And this is the official card from the City of Conway for Christmas 2024. Excellent work, and we're so very proud of you. We framed this so that you would keep it at home, and hopefully it's something that will be meaningful to you for many years to come. And it's a small gift for you, and we hope that you enjoy it all. Please join me in giving her a round. Would your family like to come up and give your mother, please? Would you like to come up and be part of the photo? It will be so much more. Absolutely. Thank you so much, and congratulations. ask Mr. White to
Employee of the month.
employee of the month. Chief Long will do the presentation. I'm sorry, Chief Hendrick will do the presentation for Public Safety Employee of the Month.
So I mentioned in my last council report that, hold that, he didn't know what he was coming for. I mentioned in my last council report about how many improvements Division Chief David Parker's made to the fire department. He works hard every day. He's doing the work of about 10 people, but he's never backs down. There's no one incident that I could talk about, just I wanted to recognize him for a job well done. So congratulations on Employee of the Month, and you get 8 hours of vacation. So.
Congratulations. Thank you for your dedication. Mr. Emmerich, the city administrator, will be accompanied by Councilman Larry White to do the longevity awards.
Our city council created a program to recognize milestones in the tenure of our employees. Every 5 years, they get to come before council, they get recognized, and they get a small bonus check to recognize their tenure with the city. So tonight, we're excited to recognize multiple employees. First is Roseanne Dates. Roseanne was, come on up, Roseanne. Roseanne was hired in November of 2019 as grants coordinator, was promoted to grants supervisor in 2022, and was promoted to grants and special projects division chief in July of 2024. She was also the 2021 Public Service Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Roseanne, on 5 years of the city of Conway.
Ms. Dates, we'd literally cry if you weren't back here in 5 more years. Thank you so much for your work.
Next is Chelsea Morris. Chelsea was hired in 2019 as a community service officer. Please come here. Was promoted in 2020 to police officer trainee, was promoted again to police officer patrol in 2021, and again to senior police officer in 2021, and in 2023 was promoted to senior master police officer. Congratulations on 5 years with the city, Chelsea.
Chelsea, your fast tracking says a lot about who you are. Thank you for your service.
Next is Travis Paul. Travis was hired in 2019 and is currently working as a hospitality and beautification technician. Congratulations on 5 years with the city, Travis.
Travis? Travis, your work makes it look good every day. Thank you so much.
And last but not least is Dan Reardon. Dan is celebrating 10 years with the city of Conway. He was hired in November of 2014 and is currently working as a utility crew leader. Congratulations, Dan. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Dan. For 10 wonderful years, you only have 20 to go. We might do another round of applause for all of our employees, please. Item D is a presentation by new friends of mine. I'm going to preface their coming forward with a statement because I still am in disbelief. Both these young women are graduates of Coastal Carolina University in the Marine Science Division, and we look forward to hearing from Taylor Garrettson and Alyssa Posenick. If you come forward too, please. And if you would please speak directly into the mic. It's difficult for people behind you to hear, and even more so for people who might be listening online. Thank you.
That mic picks up better than most.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, well, good evening, and thank you all for having us here this evening. My name is Alyssa Posenick.
And my name is Taylor Garrettson.
Like we said, we are recent graduates from Coastal Carolina University in a bachelor's in marine science. While we were there, we did an independent research study under our professor, Dr. Rosh, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today because he had a lab final. Once we finished up the research and graduated in May, we decided to further our education and our research in hopes of opening up a sea turtle rehabilitation center.
So the problem is that the current sea turtle rescue facility is in Charleston, South Carolina. This facility is a 3-hour drive from where we are. So the process of rescuing a sea turtle is very lengthy in its own right now. So once a sea turtle strands, the people that they call is SCOOT. SCOOT is an organization that is licensed by DNR in South Carolina. They help with sea turtle nesting as well as transporting the sea turtles when they are injured. So when SCOOT is called, they're going to reach out to their volunteers and their members, and whoever is available first, they're going to make their way to that sea turtle on the beach. Once they get there, they are going to check that sea turtle out, hopefully be able to tell what's wrong with it, and if they need to transport that information to Charleston, they will. But they're going to take their time, load that sea turtle up, of course with the right transportation. They're going to then get in the car and drive that sea turtle 3 hours away. This extra drive is what is causing more stress on these already lethargic sea turtles.
The Charleston facility currently has 7 sea turtles, 3 of which are from the Horry County area itself. And with the temperatures warming, the waters are also going to be warming as well, having an influx of sea turtles increase northward.
So the solution and the goal of our research is to open a sea turtle care facility in Conway. This is going to allow us to save sea turtles and rescue them, as well as educate people on how to keep our environment clean. By having a clean environment and educating people on that, it's going to allow us to have a safe space to release these healthy sea turtles once they are ready. If you've ever been to Marathon, Florida, they have a rescue center there for sea turtles as well. Their goals are to rescue, rehab, and release. This facility is a very credible facility. They have saved and rescued a lot of sea turtles over the years. They're also bringing in a lot of tourists over the years as well. What they have accomplished at their center is what we would also like to accomplish at ours.
With having this facility in Conway, it would shorten the distance, and that would cause less stress on the sea turtles in its own. And by having a facility here, we will be saving sea turtles in the area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are you open to questions?
Yeah.
Or comments?
Absolutely.
Are there any questions or comments from the council?
I don't know whether I heard it or not, but do you have a place already decided upon for Conway?
So that's why we're presenting to you here today. Just if there was an available space, that's what we are asking for today. Is just a place to have the facility.
And is there a preferred location for this spot you would like to have?
We would just like to have it in Conway. We want to make sure that we're able to focus on being the science facility and just being far enough from that chaos as well. So we're open to anything really.
Thank you. Ms. Hardwick.
Also, in addition to working with these sea turtles, the Charleston, I've taken students multiple times to the center down in Charleston, and they have a key education component in education. Do you foresee your center, once you get it, the science and the hospital part of it established, growing into a community outreach like that?
So yeah, education is just equally as important as the rehabilitation process itself. So if you've ever been to Karen Beasley, they have an education portion right before you even get to see the sea turtles in its own. So we want to do the same exact thing by educating younger children and having that opportunity for them to learn while also getting the basically reward of being able to see a sea turtle in real life as well. And with having this facility in Conway, it would also be so close to the school which we graduated from, which is also a really big issue right now because the only place for a job is Ripley's. So we would offer like internships, and then it would be another opportunity for students like us.
And you mentioned your professor. Would he be involved in this venture also, representing Coastal Carolina and advising y'all?
Yeah, 100%. He's been with us every step of the way. He was really upset that he can't be here tonight, but he does not plan on leaving our side. He will be there and helping us.
Wonderful. And we continually seek new opportunities to strengthen the partnership between the City of Conway and the university. So it sounds like this might be one of those means.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Butler?
I just want to say I'm actually excited about it. I hope you guys continue, and I encourage you guys to continue. I look forward to seeing this in the future.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Item E is discussion of proposed amendments to Article 2, definitions, and Article 4, use tables of the City of Conway Unified Development Ordinance regarding various revisions within these articles of the UDO. Ms. Hux.
Yes, ma'am. This proposed amendment includes 2 articles within the UDO, Article 2 definitions and Article 4 use tables. They are part of an overall cleanup of the UDO that has been ongoing since 2023, which was also discussed at Council's budget retreat last year as well. Regarding Article 2, over the years, staff has noted several terms that are used throughout the UDO, yet have not been defined, as well as other terms that needed to be revised to either coincide with changes made in other articles or to meet new standard definitions. For example, the term opaque is used throughout the UDO with regard to screening standards, yet it is not defined. Other terms, such as multifamily, were amended to coincide with residential design standards for what would be considered a multifamily dwelling, rather than define it based on relationships to other persons within the same dwelling. With regard to Article 4, the changes were minor in nature and included the deletion of duplicate uses or uses that are considered obsolete, and combining uses such as beauty salons and barber shops, which would be allowed within the same zoning districts even though one may provide more services than the other. They are similar enough in nature to be considered like uses. Staff is working on finalizing the amendment to Article 2 and Article 4. It will be considered by Planning Commission at their December 12th meeting, and following a public hearing on the amendments, the Planning Commission's recommendation will be forwarded for first reading with the amendment. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Hux. Are there questions or comments? I think you've given us enough for now. We'll move forward with item G, a discussion of proposed amendments to Article 10, Subdivision and Land Development of the City of Conway Unified Development Ordinance regarding revisions to the requirements for conservation subdivisions. Ms. Hux.
Yes. The conservation subdivision design is part of Article 10 of the UDO. This section of Article 10, along with other requirements such as open space, were pulled from an overall cleanup that was recently adopted by Council due to the comprehensive nature of the amendments proposed. And open space requirements were also recently adopted. A conservation subdivision design is an option for flexible cluster-style development that incentivizes eco-conscious design and preserves areas of environmental and historical value while maintaining the prorated density of residential units for the overall site and minimizing the impact of the development on surrounding communities. Houses or lots in a conservation subdivision are typically located closer together rather than spread throughout the development acreage, resulting in higher density in one or more parts of the property, but also preserving larger portions of land. Additionally, there are typically fewer environmental impacts than traditional development through a reduction in disturbed area, minimized stormwater runoff, and less impervious surface. Conservation subdivision also has economic benefits, including higher property values, reduced maintenance cost, and reduced stormwater management cost. And as you may know, current and former staff have promoted the use of a conservation design. Council has also previously approved amendments to the UDO regarding conservation subdivisions, including the requirement for proposed developments on land exceeding 50 acres or more in size to submit a site plan for a conservation subdivision with the preliminary plans for development, so that staff can determine whether a conservation subdivision design is appropriate for the site proposed to be developed. The first development that was approved as a conservation subdivision is Collins Jolly, a multi-neighborhood design containing several tracts that are being developed by different owners or builders. And during the plan review process, staff discovered that although a multi-neighborhood design is permitted, The requirement for all conservation and open space areas to be platted and recorded simultaneously remained unchanged, regardless of whether all tracts were at the point where final plats to create those lots could be approved or not. For College Jolly, the solution to this was a development agreement, the sole purpose of which was to allow each tract to record the open space and conservation areas separately, as long as those areas coincided with the wetlands and flood zones that have been delineated on a recent survey and were in line with the approved master plan. This amendment seeks to remedy the issue so that the requirements may be applied regardless of whether a multi-neighborhood or a single neighborhood design is proposed. Other amendments, aside from reorganization of the requirements, include detailing what areas qualify for conservation areas, how maximum density is to be calculated, what areas may not count towards the net buildable area, the requirements for a master plan to be submitted, clarification on perimeter buffers and screening requirements, as well as appropriate instruments for permanent protection of open space, which includes the requirement for those areas to be platted as a conservation easement, either before or with final plat approval. The city has seen an increase in the number of conservation subdivisions being proposed, with 3 different approved plans and 2 others currently being reviewed. In total, there are currently 1,766 lots or units proposed within conservation subdivisions. The proposed amendments will provide needed clarification and provide better guidance to applicants and staff when considering a conservation subdivision design. This too will go to Planning Commission on December 12th, and their recommendation will be forwarded with first reading.
Thank you, Ms. Hux. Are there questions or comments from the council? Apparently, you've done a really, really good job. I did, in error, skip item F, so we will go back to it. A discussion of a proposed amendment to Article 6, Design Standards of the City of Conway Unified Development Ordinance regarding the creation of an airport overlay district. Ms. Hux.
Yes, several properties along Highway 378 and Dunn Shortcut Road have been annexed over the past couple of years. And in particular, there have been 2 annexations that are within close proximity to the Conway-Horry County Airport, one of which is several hundred acres and proposed to contain both commercial and residential development, known as the Brookhaven Planned Development. South Carolina Code of Laws requires local governmental bodies or agencies receiving requests for a planned development, plat approval, or a building permit that is within an airport safety zone to provide the information to the Division of Airports for review. This was done last year with regard to the Brookhaven Planned Development in accordance with South Carolina law. There were no specific comments provided back to staff with regard to the annexation request. However, the county attorney at the time recommended that the city defer to the county's airport environs overlay in the county zoning ordinance and advised that a large national flight school associated with the Myrtle Beach Airport's East Coast campus has begun operations and that there would likely be an increase in operations at the Conway Airport. And in general, development resulting in any density of significance near the ends of runways is generally discouraged. Further, the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission requires that developers submit an obstacle evaluation airport airspace analysis form to the FAA. And once they receive the results back from the FAA, those findings should be submitted to the local permitting authority, in this case the city, in conjunction with their plan or permit submittals. And from there, the appropriate city department, which could include planning as well as construction services, would be required to submit a case to the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission for further evaluation. The goal of this overlay is to provide a layer on the city's GIS maps for current and future staff, so that when annexation requests, rezoning requests, plan submittals, or permit applications are received, staff is easily made aware when properties are located within the overlay and when they would be required to provide the appropriate notification. It is not intended to provide decisions on whether specific developments or permits can be approved. Therefore, unlike the county's airport environs overlay, no specific requirements are included, only the process for notifications by developers and staff. This amendment defines the overlay, provides a map of the overlay, outlines the proper review authority and information relating to the airport approach zones that are identified by SCAC, and the compatible land use evaluation tool analysis. This too will be considered by Planning Commission on December 12th, and their recommendation will be forwarded with first reading.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Ms. Hutz. Comments or questions from the council, please?
Question is that with our realigning of, is it Hemingway Chapel or on 378? This wouldn't have any bearings from that, would it?
No, it would not affect the boundaries of it at all.
Thank you.
My single question is, I'm sorry, Mr. Goldfinch.
After you.
You sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Goldfinch, Ms. Hutz.
You call me worse.
Has there been any particular input from the staff of the airport? Or do they know our plans? Are they involved in any of this at all?
Yeah, so the one time that it has come up is with the Brookhaven plan development. Because it was a PD, we did have to notify the Department of Airports, which in this case would be Horry County. And the comments that we got was just to make us aware that there was a new operation or school that would be operating from the Conway Airport, and that higher density developments could be generally discouraged. But they're not the final say. And regardless of what the FAA says or the county, it would not necessarily impact, although it could, the decision of staff to allow the development to continue.
Thank you. Mr. Goldfinch.
Yeah, I was just going to add, the FAA has height restrictions in place, but I've never heard of, if you think about Myrtle Beach on the ocean side, so runway 36, I mean, there are no high rises.
Exactly.
For that very reason they're prohibited.
200 feet, I think, is what the county's overlay states, but I do know that high-density populations of people or uses that would bring high amounts of people to a specific area, and anything that would attract geese is also something that concerns them.
Of course. And that's one of the things that came to mind, because we have ponds.
Stormwater
typically,
ponds.
yes. Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Hux. Moving forward, we'll go to item H, discussion of proposed amendments to Article 9, landscaping and buffering of the City of Conway Unified Development Ordinance regarding landscape, buffer, and tree preservation requirements.
Yes, and this item, along with the next item, which talks about the Public Works Ordinance and repealing the tree preservation, if you'd like, I can just read them at the same time.
If you would, please, we will join item I. And I'll just name it as discussion of proposed amendments to Title III, Public Works, Chapter 4, Tree Preservation of the City of Conway Code of Ordinances regarding the tree preservation ordinance. Yes, ma'am.
All right, this amendment is actually not scheduled to go to Planning Commission until January. However, due to scheduling, staff wanted to bring the proposed amendments forward for discussion and outline some of the changes that are being proposed and that were also recommended by the tree board. The ordinance is still being finalized, but some of the amendments proposed include repeal the tree preservation ordinance from the general code and to codify it in Article 9, which is the landscape and buffer ordinance of the UDO, to direct appeals of the tree board to be considered by the Board of Zoning Appeals prior to appealing to circuit court, amend the fee schedule for the planning department regarding tree violation penalties and mitigation requirements, reduce the size of a live oak tree to be considered a landmark tree from 30 inches to 24 inches DBH, to remove certain trees from the protected tree list and add trees to the protected tree list, along with several other housekeeping changes. Provided that the 2025 Planning Commission schedule is approved at their next meeting, these amendments would be considered at the January 2nd Planning Commission meeting. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments?
Question.
Mr. White?
What kind of trees are we going to remove from the list?
So tree board recommended to remove the crepe myrtle and the Don redwood, and recommended adding a tulip tree, a tupelo tree, and a red cedar tree.
That Tupelo tree looks just like
A bald cypress.
yeah.
Thank you.
But the rationale behind removing some,
Well, the crepe myrtle nor the Don redwood are native to this area.
Right.
And the crepe myrtle, in some instances, is considered an invasive species. And when you have to prune them, you pretty much have to prune them like this. I don't know if you can see on one side where the prune or the crepe myrtle has been pruned, where they've removed all of the vegetation. And then you can see in the other picture the trees prior to being pruned. And there's a limitation per the ANSI standards that are used when pruning trees that limit the percentage they can be pruned without it being considered a violation. So that is one reason why they recommended its removal. But it is just the tree board's recommendation.
anyone else? Thank you so much, Ms. Hux. We're now at item 6, the report of the city administrator.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to start my admin report tonight by getting on my soapbox. I know I do it every once in a while, and I apologize.
No apologies needed.
No one does Christmas like we do. No one. Our staff pours every bit of their effort, time, and passion into making our Christmases magical in Conway. Long before we did Halloween, we did Christmas. For as long as anyone can remember, for at least 50 years, we've had our Christmas tree lighting on the Thursday after Thanksgiving. Our Thursday nights at Christmas are the big nights. It's not just tradition, it's part of what makes Conway so special. Social media might be the worst thing ever invented. It's the best way for us to get messaging out to the widest audience. It's far better than the newspaper, no offense. No offense. Or our access channel. Without it, we would not reach a fraction of the population of Conway, let alone those who live on the outskirts of the city limits. That being said, social media is still the worst thing ever invented. Over the holiday weekend, several people on Facebook got super brave behind their keyboards and criticized the amount of work that our employees have put into Christmas this year. They must be very unhappy people. Unhappy with the world and unhappy with themselves, and their favorite thing to do is to make other people unhappy too. Unfortunately, they're really good at this. When I read the first comment on Friday or Saturday of last weekend, it ruined my day. And every one of our city employees who've worked so hard on all the great things we do, it ruined their day too. So first, to our city staff, y'all are awesome. You know how many amazing memories you're helping create for our residents and their families. I know it, the city council knows it, and those mean-spirited people who are only brave enough to complain on Facebook know it too. Second, my city council, thank you for your support. Thank you for not listening to the people who only want to cause havoc. Thank you for the support that you've given me and the support that you give our staff. Thank you for seeing through the noise and for filtering it out. Third, to those people at home, shh, you're not funny. You live next to some of the people or their families, and you have no idea how hurtful you are. Be good people, mind your manners, stop being mean. Back to my original premise. We do Christmas bigger and better than everyone else, but Christmas doesn't start for us until Thursday. So before you judge and point fingers and be an a-hole, wait until Thursday night. We have 3 more days to put the finishing touches on things, and I think you're going to be embarrassed by your premature judging. So now on to the real meat of my report. Soapbox over. I'm going to overwhelm you with all the amazing things we're going to do for Christmas. Of course, we kick things off this Thursday with the annual tree lighting, and I can promise you this, it will be more magical than ever. It always is. It will be this year for sure. Santa's Village and the Celebration of Lights also starts this Thursday and will run every Thursday through Sunday, the 22nd of December. Train rides are going to start on Friday of this week, and they're $2 a person. We're starting them on Friday because the amount of people we have on Thursday for the tree lighting is too dangerous for us to run the trains. That's an amazing problem to have. Also starting this Friday is the Retired Elves of the North Pole Adoption Agency. So stop by City Hall and you can adopt a retired elf. Our first Christmas movie is on the 6th with A Christmas Story at the Terrace at 6 p.m. The Rivertown Holiday Market is at the Sports and Fitness Center on the 7th, that's Saturday, from 9 to 2. Deck the Halls with Pickleballs Tournament is the 7th from 9 to 2. The Rivertown Regatta is on the 7th at dusk. The Frozen Winter Dance is on the 9th at 6 p.m. This is a dance for people with exceptional abilities at the Sports and Fitness Center. Our city Christmas party is on the 10th at the Sports and Fitness Center at 6 p.m. I guarantee you, again, something very different planned for this year, very different. The Under the Lights 5K is on the 11th at 6 p.m. The sensory-friendly Christmas tree lighting is at Riverfront Park at 6 p.m. on the 12th. From Conway Downtown Live, also on the 12th, is the Living Windows Holiday Market, holiday character photos at the Terrace, courtesy the Conway Christmas Camel across from the Town Green, gingerbread displays at the Blackwater Market, and entertainment on the porch of City Hall. Christmas movie on the 13th is Home Alone. Pancakes with Santa on the 14th from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Sports and Fitness Center. The Conway Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade is on the 14th. We will line up near the intersection of 16th and Main, and I need you guys there no later than 9:30. The train will be ready for your ride. New event this year is Posada with Santa Claus on December 15th. This is an event in partnership with El Gallo Radio, celebrating our diverse Latino community. From Conway Downtown Alive on the 19th is Snowfall Park and Holiday Alley, Holiday Market, holiday character photos in the Terrace, courtesy the Conway Christmas Camel will be back again, gingerbread displays at the Blackwater Market, and entertainment on the front porch of City Hall. The Christmas movie on the 20th is Elf, and Christmas to Remember is at the Public Safety Building on the 21st at 10 a.m. That is the events leading up to Christmas. Don't forget, we also have fireworks on New Year's Eve this year, a new event from Conway Downtown Alive. And there's one other big addition to Christmas this year, and I want Ashley to come up here and tell you all about it, and then I'll come back up with some more.
Wow, it's kind of hard to follow that. The one addition that we're going to have, and it was easy to do because you feel like you want to run through a brick wall for our administration, and Adam bust their tail and gave us a little leeway on doing some different things. And we were challenged to do something different in Hallmark. Can I say that word? Yeah, Hallmark the hell out of Conway. Conway. So what we've done, we got a contract with American Amusements, and we're doing a Halloween, or Conway Christmas. It's the same thing as Halloween. We put the same energy in this that we do at any of our other events. Conway Christmas Carnival is what we're doing. We have over 6 events, or 6 rods. They've been setting up this weekend. It'll be $20 a person for a wristband. You'll get that ride all day. With the carnival, they've agreed to give every employee, I was going to get with Lynn, tomorrow, free nights of riding the rides. So they got bumper cars, all kind of cool stuff. So it's going to be at the old tennis center and be in conjunction with our celebration of lights.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
A few meetings ago, Mary Catherine Hyman discussed the need for our 4th Earth to accommodate the garbage created by River City Cafe, Stella's, and Crooked Oak primarily. And I'm really happy to be able to tell you that we received a grant notice this morning from the Rural Development and Strategic Planning Initiative of the South Carolina Department of Commerce that will build at least a portion of Earth 4. We're working on the engineering and design of it now. It will be at 4th and Laurel at the backside of the parking lot that we have there, and will accommodate that block's worth of garbage, another great way to reduce the impact on downtown. We also received a grant from the Horry County Solid Waste Authority to allow us to purchase an additional 200 recycling carts to give out to our residents. When they come in, they'll be available on a first-come, first-served basis. Over the years, we've given away more than 1,000 recycling carts this way, and it's made a great impact on the amount of recycling that we can accomplish. Some of you may have seen the asphalt cuts on Laurel Street. This was done by Santee Cooper to repair the pedestrian street lights in time for Christmas this year. These were damaged during the renovation of the buildings on Laurel Street a couple of years ago, and even though it's been dark now for almost 2 years, they're finally completed. We're not going to resurface Laurel Street until after the holiday. What we don't want to do is have any more disruption with a Christmas season by trying to resurface that street. And when we do resurface it, we're going to try to resurface all of Laurel from 2nd to 4th Avenue to eliminate all the old cuts that were there. Our historic district expansion application has been submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office. We hope to get the expansion on the March 2025 agenda for consideration by the board. If it gets a favorable recommendation at that time, it'll then go to the Secretary of the Interior for final approval, and a second expansion application will be submitted shortly for the warehouse district. Both of these applications will allow reinvestment within the historic district to qualify for historic tax credits. And to give you an idea of what that can mean, if there's a building that is vacant and on the historic property register as part of a district, you can get 75 cents on the dollar back in tax credits. And that is an amazing tool for us to be able to redevelop and reinvest in our downtown. We do have a special guest with us this evening. Where's Gary? If you'll stand up. This is Gary Packin. He is from Denton, Texas. Gary is the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Director in Denton, which is our partner city for Halloween. Gary's here to see what we do for Christmas and take ideas back to Denton as they consider starting a large push for Christmas. Gary, thank you for joining us tonight. We do have a few workshop items tonight. We've got a discussion of off-road vehicle use on Allen Drive, balloons and other prohibited signage, legally exempt child care establishments, and we also have a couple of executive session items. For all of that, we'd like to move into the conference room for that. And we do have department head reports tonight from court, from planning, and from HR, if there's no more questions for me. Yes, sir.
Please.
Comment. Adam, like you, I too was angered when I saw that. But the problem is no good deed goes unpunished. And, if June pulled back the calendar for December, that's not going to be good enough, okay? The carnival will not be good enough because the funnel cake won't be crispy enough. I mean, there's always going to be, when you put yourself out there and you expose yourself to try and do a good thing for your community, there's always going to be that group of people who want to see the bad in everything. But I think the headline is this gentleman traveling from Denton, Texas, to come see what we do for Christmas. That needs to be in the article, because somebody traveling to Conway to see what we do for Christmas, and we're not doing anything? So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Amen.
Anything else for me?
Amen.
All right. Judge Fleming, would you like to go first? Thank you.
Welcome, Your Honor.
Thank you. I just need to say that I'm so excited for Christmas. I love Halloween, but Christmas, it's my time of year. All right, so good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. The municipal court has been very busy lately. Our prosecutor, Mr. Fran Humphreys, is doing a fine job. We had jury trials back in August, where we had actually 3 trials, but we adjudicated 300 cases. So that was awesome for us. We were so excited about that. Now, we add more each week, but to the roster, but that was a huge chunk. So just to give you a little bit of, to tell you also, we're also going to have another term of jury trials in February to hopefully get rid of 300 more. And then we want to be on time and on schedule with our jury trials, and Fran is helping us so much with that. So just to give you kind of a glimpse from March to August 2023, there were 2,750 cases disposed of. From March to August of this year, there were 3,650 cases disposed of, so almost 1,000 more, okay? The money almost doubled. From March to August of -- we took in 187,000, and from March to August of this year, we took in 308. So not quite, but getting close. But I will say that debt set-off is not a productive way for us to go after old fines. We did go after $450,000 in 2024, which would have come from the years of 19, 20, and 21, and we only got back $5,400. There's other ways, but that one clearly isn't the right one. Just to throw that out there. But our new traffic team and our downtown officers are off the charts. They're doing a great job. Our numbers have gone up astronomically, hence, this Thursday, we are going to have 362 on the docket. Now, this room is rated for 111. So we are in discussions with administration and police about what we need to do about that, whether we need to have another court time on on Thursdays or what we need to do, because the numbers are just going up all the time. But we're happy. We're excited for Christmas. We've got a little Santa selfie out front of our office that somebody's already asked to use today. Did you hear about that? I'm okay with it if you are. Okay. All right. So, y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you for
Thank you.
your administration of justice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so 2024 is proving to probably be the busiest year for our department, at least since I started in 2015. Last year was also very busy. When I gave my department report last December, we had reviewed nearly 300 plans for development. That includes minor plats, major subdivision reviews, and commercial plan reviews. And this year, through the end of November, we have reviewed 351. In all of 2023, zoning reviewed 250 new single-family detached structures for compliance. Through November 2024, zoning has reviewed 380 new single-family structures and 41 new townhomes for a total of 421 new residences this year. In 2023, there were 472 accessory structures reviewed, and so far in 2024, there have been 460. That would be your pools, sheds, fences, things like that. As far as illegal sign removals, there were 779 removed in 2023, and through November, we've removed 725. In 2023, there were approximately 200 business license requests, and so far this year, we've reviewed 187. What has increased most significantly is the number of mobile food trucks that have been permitted. In 2023, there were 30 reviews for food trucks. Prior to that, we may have had 6 one year, 10 another year, and so far this year, we've had 52 applications for mobile food trucks. Staff processed 223 zoning violations so far in 2024, which is up slightly from 2023, in which 200 were processed. GIS has issued 468 new addresses and filed 297 restrictive covenants since January 1st of this year. To give some perspective, I looked at annual numbers for prior years. In 2017, there were approximately 103 plan reviews compared to the 351 plan reviews that have been conducted this year so far. The number of single-family homes has increased slightly each year. 2017, there were 277, 203 in 2019, 250 in 2022, and again this year, 421. Staff has worked on 12 text amendments this year to the UDO, with several more that are currently in progress. Starting next year, staff plans to kick off the comprehensive plan rewrite, which compared to previous years where elements of the comp plan have been reviewed and updated as necessary, the next comp plan will be a complete rewrite of all of the elements at the same time to ensure that all of the information contained in the comprehensive plan and the statistics coincide with each other. So far, right now, as of August of this year, there are approximately 9,541 residential units in some level of review in our department. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
How much more can you take on? Ms. Hudson?
So would you
Ms.
say
Helms?
that you are a little short-staffed?
Well, I'll say this, the comp plan is a job for, you could have dedicated staff to the comp plan. There are some elements that are almost overdue, and by law, state law, you have to update them at least every 5 years. They need to be reviewed and then be completely rewritten every 10. And that will pull some of the current staff away because the comprehensive plan is required by state law, which may help cause us to fall short in other areas.
So that means hopefully in the new budget, you'll have several new employees, at least asked for, since we know the numbers.
Yes, I think that we do plan on asking for additional, yes.
I don't want y'all to quit.
The work you do is unimaginable, and we thank you for your tenacity and for somehow holding it all together.
I got a
Thank you so
great
much.
staff. Couldn't do it without them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Hope you all had a very happy Thanksgiving. Since my last report, we have had 10 new hire orientations, and the May 8th and May 14th orientations was for our summer workers and our interns, and that consisted of 40 new hires. Our May 20th through November 4th new hire orientations, we had 8 new hire orientations in that period, and we had 35 full-time employees and 6 part-time employees and 1 intern to attend during those orientations. In June, we had an employee appreciation event at the town green, and we had Stella's and Kona Ice there for the employees, and we also presented each employee with a book bag that day, a City of Conway book bag. We've had our Jane Mackey food drive in June. In July, we had an American Red Cross blood drive at Town Green. We offered Spanish classes to our employees. Those classes consisted of 6 classes, and we had an instructor, Joey Hernandez. He is from the Erie County School District to teach those classes, and we had 30 employees to attend. We had a blood connection blood drive on August the 29th. In September and October, we attended the South Carolina Workforce Center job fair, and we attended a Coastal Carolina job fair. We had our employee luncheon on October 31st, and that's always a hit. Our employees love that. We had another Red Cross blood drive on October 31st for one of our Halloween events. We had our department Halloween decorating contest, and the building construction services and planning and development won that award this year. We wore teal on Tuesdays, pink on Wednesday, Halloween on Thursday, and green and gold on Friday for the month of October. In November, Becky and I attended the MHRA conference, and I was elected to be the 2025 president for MHRA. Thank you.
They could not have done better.
Thank you. And on a good light note, Megan Hurley, our HR generalist, went out of work today, and we hope to have a little baby boy in the next day or so.
Oh.
Yeah. That's it for my report.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
That concludes the admin report.
Thank you so much. We'll move forward with council input at this time, and tonight we start with Ms. Hardwick.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I'm not going to allow what I consider folks' bad judgment and verbal abuse to ruin my day. I even hate to use my voice to give them credit or give them accolades. I'm very fortunate because about a week and a half ago, I got hacked. So I have no access to social media, so I hadn't seen any of this except secondhand. And it sure has, I think it would have been a bad thing for my blood pressure if I had seen it on my account instead of looking at somebody else's account. But, you know, I'm not going to we're going to dismiss these folks. I am so proud that I am from Conway. I am so proud to be on the city council. I am so proud to work with these employees and these community members. And I think you have just heard it very clearly. We have not only does our city staff work to create this Hallmark town, but they're passionate about what they do, but yet you also just heard that our employees give back to the community. And I challenge anybody to beat the staff. And kudos to y'all, Merry Christmas to you, Happy New Year to you, and let's have a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick.
Thank you.
I won't add too much to what Adam and Ms. Hardwick had already said, other than I overheard Ms. Hyman state earlier that some employees would be in at 3 a.m. tomorrow to start putting up some more Christmas decorations. So to all the ones that have such a major problem with it, I think some volunteers would be more than welcome in the morning. So I'll leave it as that.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Mr. Goldrich.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. If you believe in the power of prayer, I would ask you, if you're watching this or here, a lifelong friend of mine's in surgery right now. He's to pray for Brad Fry. He's 45 years old, married, two little boys, and he's got to fight. And so if that's who you are, I would ask you to jump on that bandwagon with me. Question about grocery stores. You can't go anywhere and hear somebody not say, we need another grocery store, we need another grocery store. And the conversation used to center around, we need a really nice grocery store. And now it's become more of a necessity. I mean, we've got the busiest food line in the state at North Conway. We go to the food line, generally speaking, at South Conway. And if you go between 4 and 6 o'clock, I waited 31 minutes in line to check out the other day. And where I'm going with all of this is, grocery stores have very small profit margins, 1% or less. And so that's why it takes certain demographics to attract them. And I'm just wondering, we've done this in the past with other types of businesses. Would it make sense to entertain just to start with the discussion about some kind of incentives to bring grocery stores here? Question mark.
I don't think that is needed. I think the grocery store conversation, we've turned a corner in our demographics, just in sheer number of people that live here and the number of units that are coming online. I think the difficulty that's being had now is finding a suitable location, more so than the funding of the location. I hope that with the redevelopment of the coastal center, that conversation might be steered clear much sooner than perhaps it would have been otherwise. I have no insight on that. For the media in the room. Just saying, I think that is an opportunity that now exists that did not before. And I do know that some of the larger grocery store chains that people have been demanding have been looking hard in the city. They want a location, they just cannot find that location that they want. So I think it might be premature to put the incentive word on that, unless it is part of a larger development of some sort that would make sense to do that. But if that changes, if the situation changes, if we hear that from that industry, certainly we bring it back to council's attention. It is a need, and Dollar General markets aren't going to cut it.
Well, and frankly, I love Dollar General, but they're cutting into that market and preventing grocery stores from coming because it takes just enough business away to compete. So, thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the National League of Cities conference in Tampa, and this topic was one of the top topics about grocery stores and their placement. And so it is about placement. They won't come to an area just because you want them there. It's because of their location, how they can get the most bang for their buck. So that was a good question as well. And to our HR person, you said we had Spanish classes, right? And the employees, and I want to say not made to take this class, encouraged to take this class. And then as a result of that, are we intentionally hiring Spanish-speaking people?
We are trying, yes.
Thank you. And that is a need because we have a large Spanish-speaking community here, and I think we need to look like who we are serving as well. And I just want to say everything looks good. It's getting gooder. It's getting gooder. And thank you very much. I'm good. Oh, I'm sorry. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amanda. Happy birthday to you.
Now you get to say more about that.
Well, thank you for that, and I share November birthdays with a few folks, so we celebrated the last week of November, so. I do have one thing. There was an elderly Conway citizen who brought something to my attention. The condition of 6th Avenue, the paving condition of 6th Avenue. Is there something that we can do to possibly look at that condition? She uses a motorized chair, and she often travels up that road. She lives on 6th Avenue, and she just says that the condition has made it difficult for her to travel. So I just wanted to throw that out there, if that's something that we could look at, and as well as the lighting on 6th Avenue.
Let me look into that on both counts.
Okay.
That's a Cadillac.
Yeah. So that is actually all I have tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Ms. Helms?
I got a question about 5th Avenue, Sherwood Forest, that 5-way access. They're all state roads, aren't they? Or are they not?
I think 2 of them are state roads, one's a city road, if I'm not mistaken.
Is there anything we can do to help people know who's yielding, who's stopping, who's going, who
So the
can't
yield
go?
signs are actually yield to the railroad,
Yeah.
not to each other,
Okay.
which is confusing. It has been in multiple long-range plans from GSATs to look at that intersection. We actually submitted that as an intersection project and did not get funding for that. It needs to be looked at. I think, given the fact that we have as much FEMA property as we have in that area, it might provide an opportunity that we did not have before to fix it. But the railroad conflict with a 5-way intersection is not an ideal situation at all.
Yeah, accidents are, I was about in one the other day, but I've had a couple of people call just asking me, I'm like, I passed that test a long time ago, I don't
And
know.
always stop or probably safer.
Okay. I'm not gonna say a whole lot about it, but the media sometimes can be not our friend. However, I am proud to say that I support all the staff and all the time that always gets put in. I was real excited about, Ashley's got a new little thing for the kids over there, the tree. I hear we're redecorating, so I hope that pleases some people, but, I don't want that to dampen any of our employees. They put 110%, just like I said today. We're all talking numbers and how much we're growing, and I don't want our staff to get disheartened that we don't hear them and that we're not going to support them in February by giving more people jobs. And, I just think that people are easy to say negative stuff just because they don't know. So, if we know better, we do better. But Merry Christmas to our staff. Thanks for all you do. That bonus wasn't as good as I wish we could do, but we're working on it. So y'all hang in there. But I hope everybody has a happy New Year. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Helms. If I had until midnight, it would take that long for me to speak to the accolades that I hear on the streets everywhere I go and every single day for what we do and how this town is thriving. It is not the place that it was, 10, 12 years ago. And it is because of the thoughtfulness and the planning and the diligence of those people who work for the city. And they should always be very proud of seeing what I see every day and what makes this such a delightful place to be. Whether somebody can accept that Halloween is just a fun time for children and families or not, it does a great service for us to celebrate Halloween the way we do, because our merchants are thriving, we're attracting more and more businesses, more amenities, the more we have, the more there is for people to do, the more they want to be here. People walk up to me and say, I chose to move to Conway 3, 5, 10 years ago, and it was the best thing I ever did. I would never consider moving again. This is the place to live. I've lived here most of my life, and I concur with them. It was always, and it has even gotten better over time. I cannot imagine a friendlier, more wholesome, more welcoming, more fun place to live than Conway, South Carolina. And that is largely because of the creativity and the thoughtfulness and the energy and the planning and the doing of our city employees. And I applaud you. I got rid of social media 12 years ago, and I have been a happier person ever since. So whoever's putting it out for me, you just missed the mark. You'll have to find me another way. But it's easy to, in my estimation, there are two kinds of people. There are those who do, and there are those who sit back and critique what others have done. And if some people get off their hindies and get energized and do something for the benefit of somebody other than themselves, what a wonderful place this world would be. I wish them well. I hope that they come to understand that there are a lot of ways to be a town, to make your place interesting, to make people want to be downtown. People want community. They want a sense of belonging. They want all these things. And the naysayers are outnumbered about 99 to 1. That's what my take is on it. So good luck to all of you who can't see the benefit of enjoying life every day, enjoying the celebration of every season, of every holiday. It's tough. Life is tough. And every chance we get to make good of it is a wonderful thing. And that is absolutely all I have to say. I thank our staff, and I wish all of you and everyone at the sound of my voice to have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope that more of our time is spent on enjoying the fullness of life, the goodness of life, the benefits of our world, instead of concentrating on some little thing that you don't agree with. Thank you. We'll now go into another room for a workshop, and all of you are invited to be a part of that. You can join us. We're going to another room that's a little bit cozier, after which time we will go into executive session, the purpose for which is a consideration of appointments to boards, commissions, and committees pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A1, and consideration of a contract for the marina store lease pursuant to to South Carolina Code 3470A2. After which time, if there's any action taken on either of these discussions, we will come back from executive session to make those decisions public, and then we will adjourn. Thank you so much for being here, and God bless you all.
Jessica, did you know we about to be family? Did you- Yeah. Yes. So your brother and my cousin-in-law are getting married. Sally's cousin.
That's my twin sister.
At least it's Sally.
Russell Lane has been keeping that on the down low. I don't know.
I try to talk to him on a regular basis. And I didn't know what times to meet.
I didn't know either.
Because he won't listen to his mother. But he does better. I love him to death.
Mayor, the first workshop item tonight is a discussion of off-road vehicles being used at the Allen Drive area. And I've got Chief Long here to discuss it, and maybe, I'm not sure if he's making recommendations today or not.
Get some direction. Figure out where we want to go. We've, over the past, I'd say decade at least, we've started acquiring a lot of FEMA properties. We're very contiguous with the Crabtree watershed, so it's city property. Flooded homes were destroyed and, torn down, so the city has acquired a gracious amount of property there that, being in the public domain, kind of puts me in this very awkward position of how do you enforce, because anybody can go to any park or any of the other city properties and walk without invitation. So having people come on those properties probably falls within that same purview. But we do have one area that has been brought to our attention by someone who is using the trail at Crabtree Canal and has seen that there's some ATV, four-wheeler activity going on in there. We do have one house on Hawthorne Drive, and part of that lot is across from that property. We've not had any complaints from that homeowner. If you come out of Hawthorne, it's just around the corner there is Allen Drive, which is where we know the four-wheeler's coming from. And we've spoken with the people, and but it puts me in the position of how do I really and truly tell them they can't do it because we really don't have any type of enforcement action. So just to give you an idea about where we're talking about, this is the Greenway Trail, and it shows some of the overlap there just because I wanted you to see that it's going to change. So from where it is now, it's just all wooded, but what you're seeing there is that Greenway Trail with the addition of Chestnut Bay, and also another type of water feature that would be on this side of the screen right off of Hawthorne Drive, and takes it about halfway to Sherwood Drive, between Long Avenue and Sherwood Drive, and that is the area in question right now. So in the future, and I'm not exactly sure the timetable, part of that property will be gone and not even able to be used for something like this. So I went out today and just took a couple of photos, very old photos on the left side of the screen. They had went through a real muddy area. It looks like maybe once or twice, and it was so muddy they quit. On the right, you can just see the wooded area where there is trails. Again, just trails going through the woods. And then that's just kind of an overview of how open the whole area is. So the people who live there kind of found this open area behind their house, saw that it wasn't being utilized for much, and had a four-wheeler and decided they want to ride back there. So we've had a complaint about how do we stop it? Or do we stop it? Or do we want to do anything? So that's the question that I pose to you is, as we look to address the concerns of someone, some of them are DNR type questions, talk about maybe some wildlife habitat, and I don't think we have any protected animals or plants in that area, but that's been mentioned. I don't think those apply. I spoke with DNR. Their properties come into a heritage preserve, which means designated areas only. You can't go anywhere except on a trail, on a road, on a path. You can't go anywhere else in the preserve because that is their rule for that preserve. We just don't have those rules. So I'm asking you, do you want to try to create something? Do you not want to do anything because know that we're going to lose part of it soon. Just the option of how we can do it. Looking at some other municipalities, Myrtle Beach has a very simple, that you can't operate it on public right of way. York County has one that's probably the closest to something that would prohibit it because it says you can't operate on any public or private property without permission. So they would have to have express permission from us to do any of that. And it is tied only to the ATV, not to pedestrian traffic. Looking at others like, Somerville and Columbia, they just really didn't have anything. I kind of looked at, Columbia obviously much larger, but trying to find some comps for us. There's not a really good sound program anywhere. No one who had anything that's like, we've seen this and we've tried to address it. So we're kind of in the unique position of what, if anything, we want to do. Do we want to draft some model to go into ordinance or not? So that's the question that I pose to you.
I've got a bias that I'll speak to very clearly. I lost a nephew to a four-wheeler accident 4 years ago. So the danger is what comes to mind first of all, and the ensuing liability that would be ours. We better believe that if such an accident that ended a life or crippled a life were to occur on our property, we'd be sued. That's one thing to be concerned about. The other thing that comes to mind for me is that if ATVs and other such moving objects can get in there, so can some automobiles. And until or unless we put some controls in place, there'd be more than ATV riding going on out there. I don't think I need to say more, William. So I'm for us looking at some way to restrict open, whatever you want to do, uses on our property. I think we'd be wise to do so. Just go finish.
I think you throw up some no trespassing signs. I can't drive my four-wheeler or my golf cart through Collins Park or Riverfront Park.
Right.
And the difference is that, your team knows that they can patrol by Collins Park and see what's going on, right? They can patrol by the park or Smith Jones or wherever it may be and see what's going on. They can't patrol by this and see what's going on. And now that it's come up and it's been made public, if we don't do anything, that just piles on the liability even more because we knew about it and we didn't do anything. So I'd throw up some no trespassing signs. And
It's a little tricky, William, because it is public property.
Yep.
And we do have the Crabtree Greenway that runs through there, so we can't just make it a blank no trespassing. I think perhaps no motorized vehicles
yeah, just taking all that stuff.
would be the easiest thing to do, but then we have to put that in ordinance form so if they do, we can enforce it.
Works for me.
So it sounds
Because
like
it would also, if you put the no trespassing signs up, it would end the pedestrian traffic as well, so.
Right.
Anybody just
Yeah,
walk through
I'm
these,
with you.
I mean, that's a very clear, easy to walk area if you just wanted to go out and look at whatever. But that would end as well if we went no trespassing.
sorry.
I have two questions. Could I have that pen in that basket? Will somebody pass that down to me, please?
That pen doesn't work. Which one?
Okay, there more in there.
One of
Oh,
them.
thank you, I got one. Never mind. Okay, is an ATV vehicle, can it be allowed on the streets?
No.
So, okay. I'm in agreement with y'all, everything that y'all have said.
The property
so
where
the
this
prop-
originates is adjacent to it. It is private property that backs right up to this. They just leave their yard and go onto this property.
And so the thought is they're doing it because of it's
It's the
public
it's
property.
the area, you know.
And the use will probably increase rather than decrease. I mean, once it's known as a place to use your ATV.
I would be very in favor of an ordinance to say no ATVs or motorized on our trails and parks.
We do need to carve out an exception for scooters and
Wheelchairs.
motorized bicycles and wheelchairs, because those are all things that get utilized on trails.
Yes.
Yeah, we would have to make sure that it stayed ADA compliant without exceeding into what we're talking about, which is, you know, the ATV type truck.
Anybody else have any comments?
No, y'all took the
Disagree.
y'all took everything I was gonna say.
I'll get you a little bit of Bible language and we'll craft something up.
Chief, can I ask one more? Is there a minimum age for riding a four-wheeler on?
There is. It, and I actually brought that with me, so I'll make sure I have it. No, it is unlawful for anyone less than 6 years of age to operate.
6 years.
So
So you can be-
7 and up
We can do
can
it, Julie.
operate. But it doesn't have anything in here about size appropriate.
That's all.
It just has about their helmet and goggles, but
Wow. I'm in favor of stopping it at all costs.
Driving license. Wow, that's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
And did you say there was anything about helmets either?
yes, there is, within that same thing that restricts under 6 and under, 7 to 15 have to have a helmet and eye protection.
Hey, while we got you on that subject, because I thought we were going to talk about, I thought we were going on the golf cart trail. Do you, in your team, your officers, do y'all have any issues with underage golf carting? Because that scares, I mean, that scares me more than anything, is because what's going to happen.
So many people look young to me now. I don't know whether they're under 15 or under 16 or not.
Did you see those college graduates that spoke yesterday?
I thought the one
I thought she was 12.
I thought one of them was the one who loved the card contest. Right there with you. She looked that young to me.
Yeah.
We generally do not get into any practice where it's like, I think that might be something, so let's just start stopping people. If it's, I know who it is and I know how old they are, I'll pull them over and say, go home. Or I'll call the parents and say, send somebody in here and pick this golf cart up. But as far as it being a huge issue, no. We've been very fortunate that we've only had like one golf cart collision that was reported this year. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot more going on that we're not aware of. People have little fender benders and things happen, they just take care of themselves.
Yeah. Maybe the bending happens in the yard.
And well, that's private property, that's your business.
That's right.
And your kid can,
Well, I've seen a lot of people come down Fifth Avenue with kids on the back of it, no car seats, restraints or anything.
it doesn't cross over from the child restraint, doesn't cross over.
Right.
And there's nothing we can do about that. State law is very clear. You cannot alter the state law golf cart. The golf cart state law.
So as much as I see that and I'm like, what are you thinking? You would not ride with your kid on your lap between you and the steering wheel of a car. Why do you think it's okay with a golf cart? Even though you're like, well, I don't have an airbag. Well, the first thing that happens in that collision is that forward momentum.
That's right.
That's going to cause serious injury.
Yep.
Anything else for Chief?
We beat that horse to death.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it out.
Absolutely.
The next item for workshop is Jessica Hucks with balloons and other prohibited signage, and she's got the last one as well. You can do the other word. You want to do the other word? That's fine.
All right. So as you know, we do allow daycare facilities. There's different types. There's adult daycare facilities, there's child daycare facilities, and after school care facilities. Staff was recently approached by an individual who's looking to open a child care center and a shopping center with limited hours. The individual who inquired about it, she does have several years of experience in the child care industry and stated that the services that she intends to provide would be considered legally exempt from the state's licensing requirements for child care centers. So we looked at state law regarding those requirements and found that South Carolina Code of Laws defines a child care facility as a facility which provides care, supervision, or guidance for a minor child who is not related by blood, marriage, or adoption to the owner or operator of the facility, whether or not the facility is operated for profit, and whether or not the facility makes the charge for services. This definition includes, but is not limited to, day nurseries, nursery schools, child care centers, group child care homes, and family child care homes. But it doesn't include a list of several educational facilities, 5-year kindergarten programs, kindergartens, nursery schools, summer camps, Bible schools, child care centers, and group child care homes owned and operated by a local church or an established religious denomination. But the one thing that staff did find is that facilities that are open for more than 4 hours a day in connection with a shopping center or service or other similar facility where the same children are cared for less than 4 hours a day and not on a regular basis while parents or custodians of the children are occupied on the premises or are in the immediate vicinity and immediately available. So those types of facilities have to meet local fire code and sanitation requirements and maintain documentation on file for public inspection. The city defines a child daycare center similar to that of the state, but the UDO also defines after-school programs as any organized program which invites youth to participate outside of the traditional day. Some programs are run by primary or secondary schools, and some are externally funded nonprofit or commercial organizations. Additionally, after-school programs are permitted as a conditional use in most residential zoning districts, subject to certain requirements. And after-school programs are also permitted as an accessory use to all schools or religious institutions and daycare facilities in the institutional and professional zoning districts. So the current requirements for after-school programs eliminates the ability for other types of facilities, such as part-time child care facilities within shopping centers, to be permitted under the city's current ordinance, even though state law exempts those facilities from licensing requirements. It also eliminates the option as far as zoning because unless the facility is in institutional or professional zoning districts, it's an accessory use for a church or school, or proposed to operate from a residence, the use isn't allowed at all. So staff wanted to bring the issue up to council to see if there was a desire to open up the use in commercial districts in accordance with how the state permits those facilities. And even though those facilities would be considered legally exempt, the owner or operator of those facilities would still be required to apply for legally exempt status, meaning it would be determined by the state whether the facility is legally exempt, and the status would be required to be provided prior to the issuance of any city business license. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, I do know there are programs like you have Thomas Gymnastics, Super Kicks, but my best assumption is those are not actually permitted as child care facilities, but more as the use itself, being a gymnastic center or something like that, is how they got around that requirement. But those two would be considered legally exempt.
So this situation essentially is part of a mall, and in theory, at least, parents or guardians are at that mall shopping or
Or
doing
in that
whatever.
area.
Right. And that's, I say that to define a real immediate area. And they may leave that child there for an hour or 2 or 3.
No more than 4 hours.
No more than
Yeah.
4. Lord, yeah.
That's babysitting.
I've been operating an illegal child care facility for 13 years.
I'm talking about. You don't even get paid for it.
That might separate you from the law.
Any other questions for Jessica?
Well, I don't know what the bottom line question is.
We would have to amend our ordinance. If it's something that council would be open to allowing, we would have to technically amend our ordinance because the only option is an after-school program, and you can't do that in like highway commercial. You can only do it in institutional or professional as an accessory use, or in a residential district in a home, but no more than 4 hours a day and certain times. I think 2 to 8 p.m. is what our ordinance specifies. So this would not technically be an after-school program. It would be open, I mean, it could be open from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m., but at just different times, there would be different children.
Who's going to monitor the children coming and going?
Well, they would have to apply for the state for legally exempt status. They would still be subject to local fire requirements. They would still have to go through a business license review, including zoning review. And so what we would require, because they wouldn't actually have a license from DSS, is that we would require proof from DSS that they are in fact legally exempt.
I don't take particular issue with it.
I don't either.
You know? I mean, it's just a different model, but they've got a longer span of time, but they are serving different children. And I'm sure there'd be some limit to the number that they could have at any given time based on their space and their staff.
Yes, and if it would be regulated, the state would regulate.
It wouldn't be our doing it.
See, I'm thinking now, because if my wife and I had children, and she had custody of the kids, but I brought them.
I'm sorry.
And then I came back and got them, and she was the one that brought them in. How would, you know?
See, but that's up to them, just like the daycare center. They would have those kind of controls in place. I raised a nephew, and the school had only seen me. And there was an occasion when I was out of town and the actual child's mother showed up to take him to the doctor and he wouldn't release him because I hadn't sent a note. Yeah, you know, those things they can work around, but they're not going to, they would be liable. And I don't think anybody's foolish enough to give a child to somebody other than somebody. They probably have some clearance like the school does. You know, this grandparent and these two parents and one neighbor are allowed to pick this child up in emergencies. Don't you have that at schools?
Yes, absolutely. And if I'm thinking properly, but what I'm thinking, I don't know if this is, it would not be that on Thursday, on a random day, on a random time, a random person could just come in and drop off a child. It would have to probably be prearranged as far as contact payment, allergies.
Absolutely. I would think that it would really be run like a child care facility. The only difference is that there would be restrictions on the operation of that facility. Additional restrictions so that it could maintain that legally exempt status. And if there was ever a point where they did, they would likely lose that legally exempt status that they were given. And at that point, their zoning approval could be revoked.
And just to clarify, just to make sure, I want to say this back to see if I understand. We are only talking about zoning of the property. The facility will still be regulated at the state level as far as care and inspections and that type of thing.
Yes, they would have to apply for the legally exempt status from the state, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Next one, Jessica.
The last thing I had, probably my least fun subject, is signage.
I wonder why.
So, the city sign ordinance, we amended it, council adopted the amendment a few years ago to eliminate temporary signage from the types of signs that are regulated as a result of a 2015 Supreme Court decision regarding temporary signs, citing that the temporary sign regulations of that town were a violation of the First Amendment and the restrictions were content-based rather than content-neutral. In summary, in that case, the church installed small temporary directional signs throughout the town to inform churchgoers of where services would be held, as that particular church didn't have a permanent location. However, the town sign code contained different regulations based on the information conveyed in the signs. And the type of sign the church had installed didn't comply with the town sign code for that particular type of temporary directional sign. The Supreme Court held that a municipality cannot restrict expression because of a sign's message, ideas, subject matter, or content. And in most cases, content-based restrictions are considered unconstitutional unless the municipality can prove that the restrictions are narrowly tailored to serve a compelling governmental interest, such as public safety or aesthetics. In the case of that particular town, the court found that their sign code was not narrowly tailored because it allowed an unlimited number of ideological signs but placed significant limits on directional signs. The court did offer some guidance on regulations that would not be content-based, mainly that the regulations include restrictions on time, place, and manner. That could be the size of signs, sign lighting, electronic message displays, sign placement, on-premise versus off-premise signs, the number of signs, sign materials, and time restrictions. And the reason this is being brought up is because we do have some businesses that have displayed items that could be considered temporary in nature and could be considered signage. The list of prohibited signs in the city's sign ordinance has 21 different types of signs that would be prohibited. One of those being attention-seizing or wind-activated devices, such as inflatable signs, feather flags, balloons, among other items. The argument being made by these businesses is that there are instances where decorations are displayed, including balloons, that are not considered signage and were displayed for an extended period of time. Granted, the Supreme Court decision dealt with non-commercial signage. However, the same content-neutral restrictions would likely still apply, and as with any regulation or law, it's always possible for such regulations to be challenged if they are not narrowly tailored to achieve the city's interest, which in the case of the list of prohibited signs exists in the interest of public safety and aesthetics. And as a side note to staff's knowledge, there are no regulations that would permit balloons or similar devices for non-commercial activities. And within the UDO, the only place where balloons or other wind-activated devices is mentioned is under prohibited signs. Further, the UDO defines a sign as any device designed to attract the attention of the public for commercial or advertising purposes that are attached, painted, or otherwise affixed to or a part of a building structure, material, surface, vehicle, or object. Staff does not dispute that balloons used to attract the public's attention for a commercial purpose is in fact a sign, based on the city's definition of a sign. Staff's concern is the issue of content neutrality and whether the prohibition of balloons for commercial purposes while non-commercial balloon displays are not necessarily prohibited, although not expressly permitted, would meet the strict scrutiny test, of course, if they are prohibited for commercial purposes in order to promote public health, safety, and aesthetics of the city. With all that said, staff just wanted to present the issue to council, see if there was any interest in allowing balloons for businesses for temporary display, which would still not be permitted by the city, but may provide an avenue for businesses to have balloons for special sales, promotions, or a community event.
That's a tough one.
Yes, they always are.
I don't know. Ms. Hardwick, please, begin the logic here.
Okay, could you, and looking at the pictures of the balloons, it appears to me that one is more of a permanent, secured feature, whereas the ones on the left.
Okay,
that does not look like something I can walk up to and pop, or possibly it pops and a child eats it or a dog eats it. It looks like it's more of a acrylic or something along that line. I don't know what the right words are. When I look at the other one, those look like just, to me, regular blow-up balloons.
Correct.
Is there a difference?
Yes.
Is a balloon a balloon?
Is a balloon a balloon?
The irony, Julie, is that on the left is what's meant to be prohibited, on the right is what's not meant to be prohibited, but they're both balloons.
Right.
The safety and aesthetics problem is actually the left side that's regulated. The right side is not, because aesthetics wise, that's pleasing and more of a holiday celebration. But from a legal standpoint, a balloon's a balloon.
Right.
Okay.
And I think it's fair to regulate permanent signs, but I don't want to be a homeowners association and tell someone they can't. I mean, does it mean I can't put my cocky up in the front yard, you know, when it's
Because you're not commercial, it doesn't regulate, which is.
But what if I wanted to do it?
At your business.
Yeah. I mean,
Those balloons are actually more industrial. The material is different, and they're actually on sticks. A lot of sign companies offer this now for, special sales that businesses have. Unfortunately, our ordinance doesn't distinguish between them.
You see them at a lot of used car sales concerns.
If I'm
That's
not
why they're
mistaken,
illegal.
That's why
They're tacky.
yeah.
We regulate tacky.
Yeah. But yeah, like William, I don't know that, I don't know, none of it bothers me so much.
But the ones on this side bother me more because I see those as being more, they can pop and get into the environment, or the birds can come and pop on them, or,
So, and I think what we're saying is it has to be all or none, because a balloon is a balloon.
A balloon's a balloon.
Yeah.
That's kind of staff standpoint, and that's the issue with trying to regulate the commercial versus the non-commercial.
Yes.
Obviously, no signs would be permitted in a right-of-way. The International Code Council actually has a sample ordinance. They have like a sample zoning ordinance that they recommend, and says that they're still prohibited except in conjunction with special sales or community events, and does not exceed more than so many days in a calendar year. So you could still prohibit them, but allow that exception if that's something that council wanted to do.
There's one other wrinkle, is the folks on the left have now red and green balloons for Christmas, now that they're holiday decorations. So if holiday decorations are also balloons, and we say you can't have balloons, are we now regulating holiday decorations? And at some point, it becomes a religious issue too. And
Yeah.
if we say it's all permitted, then we have to be comfortable with the results of that.
Well, it's all happening, and I'm fairly comfortable with it. I don't know how others of you feel, Mr. White.
well, I think when we addressed this earlier, it was more or less about car lots, having those flags, etc., and we didn't want that there. That one on the right, I think that's real tacky. On the top, I mean, all those different type sizes of balloons and stuff like that.
You think that's tacky? I
do.
think it's beautiful.
Different strokes for different
which
folks.
sign are you talking about?
The top right.
No, but which sign in the top right?
That's a sign there also.
I didn't even see the sign.
Is there a sign?
What does it say?
No.
We don't want to know what it says.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I want to know what it says.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I noticed.
I swear I can't see it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll get you later.
Okay.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Of course you can.
Okay, so, I don't even know if this is, all I'm thinking of is like, okay, let's say I'm walking down Main Street. I don't have a sign, but I have a business. Can I put out then balloons?
Technically, no, not right now.
Okay.
Now, if you are a business, commercial, it is considered a sign if it's commercial and you can't do it. But if you are a business and you want to do a balloon display for, welcoming a child, you might have somebody who's welcoming a child, or for a decoration or something like that, it's not regulated. Because our signs are intended to attract to businesses. Yeah.
So if we were to, just tell me if my thinking's correct here, y'all. So if you were to drop the regulation, then you could technically have balloons and flags and blow up men all the way in front of every business.
Well, the good part is that the ordinance actually, when it talks about prohibited signs, it distinguishes between balloons and inflatables. So this actually wouldn't have any bearing on the man they have there, which they said that too was a decoration, but we didn't agree. So this would have no bearing on that. This would be balloons only. This would not be blow-ups or anything like that. The blow-up men that you see. We had one on top of a pet store last week that had to be removed. And some of these places do get very confrontational about it. They say that there's no way for that we're hurting their business if we don't allow them to do this. I disagree with that, but I also understand the complexity of the law.
And what would be your recommendation?
Well, I don't know there's a simple answer, but I think that if you word the prohibited sign ordinance section, which mentions balloons, to maybe separate it out on its own and state that they are prohibited except in conjunction with a special sale or community event, and limit it to so many days, I think that we would be on better ground.
I could go along with that. I think you're on the
7-day limit.
Yeah.
Because the attractiveness of that waiter guy, or that cook guy over there, is such that, I mean, it's just a distraction for a driver. I just sort of like to see, I want to see if they're going to move the next time the way they did the last time. So instead of looking at the road, I want this thing bobble in the wind. Thank you so much.
I got a question. So what if my 7 days is up and I just move into the other side of the building?
No, it's still on the same.
Does that reset the clock?
Well, 20 days, you'd have 20 days
Or
in the
20 days.
calendar year. Yeah, we could make, some food trucks, for example, we make them go through a rigorous process in order to be permitted, but if they want to do a special event or have the food truck as a special event, they're exempt. That is also another avenue. If you want to put balloons out like that, then you have to apply for a special event permit. That way that we can keep control and have record. Sorry.
What if it's Santa Claus?
With balloons?
With the,
Oh, I would have an accident.
but what if it's an inflatable Santa Claus?
That's what I'm saying.
How do we differentiate between these and decorations? Because,
You gotta be a Christmas store.
well, no, you don't, because I know, but how we are a city that celebrates every holiday. If they put a skeleton out there that's a 12-foot skeleton, which we have a million of, how is that different from the dancing guy?
Well, first of all, if it's in your yard, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But
is that legal?
commercially,
Behind
20
Liz Manor?
days at Christmas.
Manor, maybe. But we celebrate October for 30 days, 31 days.
But they don't get to do it with 20.
That's where I was going. I mean, it's okay for you to do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're not commercial either.
Yeah.
And we had a holiday decorating contest for Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But we could start with balloons only and see how it goes. I don't know the
I think I
appropriate.
just realized,
I
as
see
much as
those.
Adam likes to ride around and pull signs out of the ground, he's just he brought this up so he can go around and pop balloons.
That's what it is.
Yes. Pop
That's why I use the poster.
Driving down the
Well,
street.
as the signs are.
So this is it's balloons only?
That is currently what staff is.
Okay.
And is that guy a balloon?
No.
Can it be helium
not a balloon.
or not?
He's not a
Are we
balloon.
gonna designate?
All balloons are balloons.
That's
Hot
an
air balloons.
inflatable. That's an
That's just
That's
inflatable.
an inflatable, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so they get to do that.
No.
They don't get, let's see what
Even if it's a decoration, we don't get to do it.
you get a little giddy just talking about, I'm sorry, y'all.
But that
I mean,
goes
is
right
that
back to
big of a
what you
problem?
just said, if he puts Santa there.
Is it,
Yes.
is it that big a problem?
Yes. It
Oh,
actually is.
If you read social media,
oh, Jesus. But Larry, the more, was it you that found that one offensive? The more I look at it, the more it looks like somebody's intestines.
Uh-huh.
At first, I thought it was pretty good.
You're that one that can see a cloud that looks like,
Yes.
nobody else can see that.
Yes, I'm that person,
And-
yeah.
You know, and again, and I know environment has nothing to do with zoning, but while we're talking about it, if when those disposable balloons, they are gonna have to be, I mean, they're gonna pop, they're gonna have to be disposed of.
And the sea turtles might get them.
Or the dogs.
It could
Or the
impact the
birds.
sea turtles.
Yes, it could.
Once we get
If it ends up in the, yeah.
Actually, I just learned how to inhale helium.
I think that's all we have on the workshop agenda for tonight.
We'll bring something back next year for y'all.
Wait till the December meeting.
Next December?
Yes, please.
All right, Mayor, we are ready for executive session if there is a motion.
Mr. White?
Move that we go into executive session.
Mr. Jordan? Second. All in favor? Aye. Our hands. As unanimous, we're going into executive session. We love you so much. Good night.
Good night.
though. You're not talking about helium.
There we go, you're live.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That needs to have like a bus.
Larry. I'm gonna wear my clothes.
Are you kidding me?
It's cold outside. I gotta make it to the car.
I'm gonna pull mine out.
Okay.
So before us, if you would remind us of the decision that we're making.
Let's be careful how we phrase it. I believe there was consideration of boards and appointments to address, and then someone would need to make a motion to appoint. So
Okay, absolutely. Do we need to make that motion with the names?
I think you can just make motion with all the people who applied. Since it was
Absolutely.
unanimous.
Mr. White,
I move that we
reapply.
reappoint all those that applied for their positions on the boards.
Mr. Jordan.
I will
second
Mr. White's motion.
We have properly seconded motion to approve the reappointment of those board members who have applied. All in favor? I'm sorry?
I interrupted, I'm sorry. Carry on.
No.
No, I have something else after that.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate so with a showing of your hand. That motion carries unanimously.
You may want to just state, since Charles is here, that there's no consideration of a contract tonight for the Marina store.
Right, absolutely. Just as a matter, a point of interest, on the agenda was the consideration of those people who bid to make a contract with the Marina store, and we made no decision at all, and not made any real consideration. You did that really well.
He looks deflated.
I look like that normally.
I love it, Charles. That was perfect. That was perfect. I now will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Goldberg. Ms. Hardwick.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate so with a showing of your hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for a really